Mr. Moulton is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your continued service to the country and your stamina. You have the weight on your shoulders of protecting freedom around the globe while avoiding a nuclear war every single day, and that's not a weight that many would be able to bear. I was quite critical of the administration's handling of the withdrawal from Afghanistan, but I have to tell you, I think that the last 2 months of Putin's war in Ukraine you've handled brilliantly. And so I want to sincerely thank you for your leadership that's been so critical to our priorities and to the success of the Ukrainian people. So thank you. The only consistent criticism that I've heard in a bipartisan way on the effort in Ukraine is just simply the speed at which things are moving. You've done all the right things. Some people have said it could move more quickly, and I think that reflects just a broader concern I have with this budget, that we're transforming the force, we're modernizing, you're investing a lot in research and development. My question is, are we moving quickly enough? So I just have a couple of questions on that. Mr. Secretary, you've testified about the various innovation efforts and the DoD's investment in technology, but Defense Innovation University, DIU, which has leveraged $25 billion in private R&D, introduced 100 new suppliers to DoD from 37 states, has been cut in its budget for FY2022. Why is that, and is that a wise move for the future? I think they've been incredibly successful.
Well, as we look across the landscape, we want to make sure that we're putting our dollars where we're going to get good return. And DIU has done amazing work for us over time, and we want to make sure that we're also using other means to encourage initiative and bring new capabilities on board, and get the input of entrepreneurs and small companies and that sort of business. But DIU is important to us. It will remain important to us. So that's not a signal that we're phasing DIU out, if that's what.
No, Mr. Secretary, it's hard for me, especially as the co-chair of the Future Defense Task Force from a couple years ago, to imagine you not increasing the budget for DIU given their returns. So I'd like to have a more detailed answer for the record, please, on that. And if there's an opportunity for us to increase the budget, that's something we'd like to do. In China, gentlemen, we've seen heavy divestment from the traditional land army. It was a good thing for us that China wasted a lot of time and effort on their million-man army because it was not very effective. They've been pretty dramatic in taking money out of that, downsizing their force, and putting it into other capabilities. As you think about the overall structure of DoD and the balance among the services, are you adapting that balance to meet the threats from China and Russia? Or does each service within your budget essentially still get the same amount of money?
I can assure you that each service does not, and that's always an issue of the great debate. But we're really going after the capabilities that we need, that are relevant to this fight that we could have in the future. And so you've seen significant investment in naval forces and also air forces. And if you look across the fight up, that trend continues. But it's not a excuse me, it's not a cookie-cutter approach by any stretch of the imagination.
Mr. Secretary, on the same theme, can you just, I know that the chairman asked this question at the beginning of the hearing, but can you give me 2 specific lessons that we have learned from Ukraine and explain how those lessons are reflected in changes in this budget? So, are you changing the amount of money that we're investing in artillery or armor or in drones or something like that, given the lessons we've seen on the ground in the last several weeks?
And again, it's still early, and this is a month into the fight, and there will be lessons that we take away from this. But in terms of how it impacts our structure and our warfighting capabilities, we don't. There are no changes that we would desire to make at this point. Again, we'll see how this plays out over time.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask you the same question? Do you think that we should be making changes in our budget based on what we're seeing in Ukraine? I might add the conflict in Azerbaijan gave us a lot of lessons along the same lines.
I'd say 2 things, not necessarily changes to the budget, but one is the fundamental significance of air defense systems in order to deny an opponent the ability to achieve air superiority or supremacy. That's been done by the Ukrainians, and it's been done with a huge amount of help from the United States with Stingers, et cetera, but also because of our intelligence feeds. So the second big lesson here is intelligence. We have, and I'm not going to go in open hearing about the intelligence we've collected, how we did it and all that, but this war has arguably been the most successful intelligence operation in military history. And it's really tremendous, and someday that story will be told. I guess the third thing is to reinforce the United States doctrinal methodology of mission command, power down, decentralized decision-making to the lowest level possible. The Ukrainians have been trained on that over the last 6 years, actually longer than that, 8 years.
Gentleman's time
That's been very
has
successful.
expired.